Hi folks, thanks for joining me again. I'm crouching down a bit today because I'm trying to get the reference photo in shot, so you can see this is the photograph I've been working from. Took this the weekend, and then this is the painting of well, it's just an impression of the reference photograph. So before we get started on this one, let me show the colours I've used. So for this one I've used I haven't used every colour on the palette, just ultramarine, alizarin, raw sienna, burnt umber and light red. So the 5 colours, and as always most of it done with a large Ron Rantanay. I've got a couple of little riggers in there as well. This is the photograph. So limited palette, I took this photograph the weekend. Patrons will be able to see this on the on that site there amongst all the other photographs I've taken. So I'm not wetting it too much, just enough to soften the background, which is going to be a sort of alizarin crimson and ultramarine and very bit of water. I only want it very light, nothing too heavy. Obviously a lot of this is going to be snow, so I don't want to sort of go too off-white, if you catch my drift. That'll do for that, I think. Right then, now I'm not going to bother cleaning the brush. I'm predominantly going to use these colours now: raw sienna, burnt umber, bit of ultra light red in there as well. So starting off, I can see the most distant one is somewhere up there. And then just add a bit of ultramarine when I want to darken it. Let's get a little bit higher up there. A little bit of ultramarine in there. And then on the other side, if we just work out, it's just above the horizon, so we're somewhere like that. It's a bit of red, just varying it slightly. Might make this a little bit darker, so I'll probably go over it a bit in a minute when the paper. I'm just going to wait for the paper to dry. There's no point doing it while the paper's still wet. Let's take that right up to the edge of where the path just goes out of sight. Somewhere like that. Now what I'm going to do is a whole load of trees and things. These just suggest a few trunks in there before I start going over it. Right, now what I'm going to do, bit of brown, bit of blue, just make some of these a little bit darker. There as well. Again, just re-scrape the odd nail in there as well. We've got some bigger trees, so I'm just going to dry brush on a bit of raw sienna, burnt umber, a bit of light red in there as well. And these are going quite high, so I'm just sort of dry brushing in the foliage first. Well, it's not, it's a little, it's sort of what's left of the leaves. Switch to the rigger brush. And a few big ones in like that. I'm also going to pop in a few twigs and things with the brush as well. It's a bit of variation. There's a few big trees over there as well, isn't there? So let's pop in a few. A few of them. And they can have a bit of that treatment as well. Very, very light touch. Right, now there's some bigger ones. Again, let's put the sort of dead leaves in first, because these are going. That's a bit wetter than I was anticipating. It still works, no problem. Let's stick some of them right up there. So it's just a very light touch, just to suggest all these dead leaves. A few up like that, and then I'll take the brush, bit of brown, bit of blue, there can be a few trunks going in with this like this. Around a few random shapes. Right, now these ones a little bit, looking at the reference picture, a little bit stronger, these ones. I'm just pressed a little bit harder, just to create a slightly broader stroke. Just press down a little bit more on that one. Let's see. These are a lot closer than those ones in the background. I need to bring that right down there, because these are grounded in this sort of middle ground section. So we've got a few flicks here and there. These are all just the twigs and things. You can see outside all the dead leaves and whatnot. A whole load of stuff going on there. I'll come back to this bit in a minute. Right then, now we've got lots of snow amongst all this sort of brackeny section. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put this on quite strong and just leave lots of unpainted bits. Just to define where this path goes, something like that. And it's coming down, sort of in there like that, a bit of blue, just trying to vary it slightly. There's not too much variation, it's a winter scene after all. You can see I'm trying to represent the snow by leaving lots of white and just these sort of subtle shades of sort of purple that are reflecting from the sky when we did that sky. More blue in that. Right, it's so tempting to just go mad and just block it all in. Let's get that flat against the board. I'm just trying to think where this photo was. I'm guessing it's Sutton Park. I might be wrong. Right, it's I want to do very very subtle just a hint of bit of texture on the path there. I just want to get a few darker tones in those background trees. So I'm going back into the bit of brown, bit of blue. Darken some of these up a little bit. See across this sort of middle ground area, just to so we've got a sort of nice darker tone section there to contrast against the snow. And then also a little bit dark, a few darks amongst these as well. Right, now on this left hand side, got some more branches and things, and we've got things growing up here now. So I'll just pop a few of these in. There's the uprights, pop in a few of the side things growing amongst these. Just bring these down because they are meant to be in the foreground. I've left the bases a little bit too high. Let's bring them right the way down so it's obvious they're meant to be in the foreground. Just make sure that's flat. So I'm just looking at it there, and what I'm thinking is needs a few little shadows or something. Now I can't really see, they're not obvious. We've got the darks in, but I just want some foreground shadows. Please make sure it's dry. So just mix I'll just gonna mix some of that sky colour again, a bit of alizarin, a bit of blue. I think there's a little bit of burnt umber in there as well. Right, let's just see what it looks like first. I'm thinking it's a shadow that's sort of coming. Let's have a big one going across there. Coming down the hill and across there like that. These would be like big trees out of shot that are just coming down and casting their shadows across there. You just go right across the foreground there, something like that. Quick dry. that's made the, just looking out through the viewfinder, I think that's made the foreground a little bit more interesting. But what I want to do, it's not in the photograph, but I think we need to have a figure or a couple of figures just up there. I'll put the hike, I think I've finished with the hike brush now. I don't think I've got anything else to do with that. I'm just thinking whether to make, I might just lighten that a little bit just so that the figures stand out better. Just lighten that, make sure it's dry. I'm going to take, I only want them very small, so I'm just going to take this tiny little brush and then just go into a little bit of dark colour, bit of brown, bit of blue. They're going to be pretty small at that distance, so don't want them too big. There's one. I'm going to go with a little dog, I think. I was going to have a couple. Yeah, I'll just stick with the dog. We've got a few shadows coming off them. I think it's dry. I think that is going to be it, I think. If I just, back to the rigger brush, just take a dark colour, I just need to put my name in the corner. Just sign this down in the corner. Right then, let's stick a frame on it and see what it looks like. So there's the finished painting, all in this mount. There's the reference photograph I was working from. I took that one the weekend. Still plenty of snow around. Very, very cold, so it's taking a while to melt, so might still get the odd walk outside amongst the snow yet, if it doesn't snow anytime soon. So I've changed it a little bit, not too much, try to just keep the same sort of, just try and get the both in shot at the same time. Just try to get those, match those tones. See, originally the tones in the background just weren't quite strong enough. So I went over them 2 or 3 times just to get that depth. You can see where I lightened it. Although you can see where the man is, it's actually dark. It's quite the opposite actually. Really, really dark, but I've just lightened it just so that the man and his dog would stand out. Also you can see, shadow wise, I always think just some strong shadows across the foreground. I always just prefer them. I just think they just help give it a bit more oomph. Kept a limited palette, very, very simple sky. So I just used ultramarine and alizarin crimson, left plenty of little white patches there, repeated all that down, and then used the same, pretty much the same. There was a little bit of burnt umber in it as well, just to do the shadows. And then just to create this sort of snow effect. You can see the sort of darks with all the snow over them. I've just used sort of dry brush these burnt umber, light red ultramarines, left plenty of white to suggest that snow. You can see used there's plenty of rigger work in here, all the trees and the branches and the twigs and whatnot. So I hope you've found a bit of value in that and you can found it useful. Maybe even have a go yourself, see how you get on. If you want to join me over on Patreon, post your own paintings on there as well as see loads of other videos. So thanks for watching, I hope you enjoyed that. Keep practicing. If you've got any questions, please don't hesitate to ask, and I'll see you again soon.